Is that an earthquake rocked Fresno this morning. The good thing is the quake was not real. It was a test at Fresno State to see how well historic buildings can hold up in case of such an emergency. Full-scale masonry walls were built in the structural testing laboratory on campus for the project. Engineers were testing the seismic resistance of the buildings with epoxy and environmentally safe resin that doesn't use illegal propellants. The epoxy is used to strengthen older, historic masonry structures before an earthquake occurs and to repair any damage caused after a quake.
An in-plane shear test simulates the horizontal movement produced by an earthquake. It's the last of a series of tests.
The epoxy turned out to be stronger than expected. They will continue to conduct more tests throughout the day.
Right at Fresno State, Orrin Winnig joins us now with more on that story. Orrin?
But up at Fresno State, they were testing a new foam. An inventor from Terabella believes he's discovered a product that could help save buildings and lives. Imagine tremors ripping through historic Fresno.
It's about 18,000 now, 18,000 pounds.
In a lab at Fresno State, scientists compressed a brick wall wired to computers.
I won't be surprised if it cracks in the base.
It cracks in the base?
Intention.
Crush?
Again.
Yeah. Again?
They're analyzing the effects of an earthquake for Eric Skiff. He's an inventor who believes he's come up with an epoxy, a foam that inserted in a building would make it earthquake-proof, or pretty close. Eric's dad invented something like it 30 years ago. Los Angeles even used it for its city hall. Since 1971, the building has seemed to repel earthquakes, but there was a problem with the invention.
That it contained Freon. And as we all know, Freon has been a removed substance for use in industrial as well as commercial needs.
It took a few years, but Skiff replaced the Freon with carbon dioxide. The compound injected into the brickwork hardens on the outside, adding strength, but it remains soft in its core, making the wall flexible, which means under thousands of pounds of pressure, without this new invention, the wall...
It will explode just like your windshield. So it adds something called ductility, makes it more flexible.
Our scientists say that epoxy may have changed Fresno history. This is Courthouse Park, the heart of downtown, but few would argue that that building is the heart of this city. That honor goes to the building it replaced. In 1966, the county leveled the old courthouse. They said at the time it couldn't be retrofitted for an earthquake. Now, others of that era could get an upgrade without closing their doors. Skiff says his product could be applied while people work.
The best part about it is it saves people's lives. We're not going to have the buildings falling down.
The epoxy is called Bisfoam, and Skiff plans on distributing his product in September. Steph?
Plastic foam may save your life during an earthquake. Final testing took place on the campus of Fresno State of the epoxy called Bisfoam. The foam is meant to hold brick walls together during an earthquake. The product could eventually be added to brick buildings in California built from the 1880s through 1950.
Valley researchers may have found a foamy solution to the destructive nature of earthquakes.
What they've come up with could make shaky buildings stand tall. Action News reporter Gil Reyes has the story.
What you're looking at is a simulation of a 6 or 7 magnitude earthquake. You'd expect to see these brick walls come crashing down, but they don't.
We were able to keep a wall completely intact under full test load application.
That's because these walls were injected with an expansive epoxy foam manufactured by Delta Plastics in Tulare County.
It increases the survivability of people exiting a building in a massive seismic quake.
The foam is being tested by the Fresno State Civil Engineering Department. It's made for use on old brick buildings. The formula is injected into a structure where it hardens. That makes the structure more earthquake-proof.
We proved that this material works and it can be used in the market to repair historical buildings.
Delta Plastics says epoxy foam is a cost-effective, time-saving alternative to retrofitting old buildings that need to meet safety standards. And not just here at home. Thousands of lives were lost in Turkey's big quake last year, crushed under the weight of collapsed buildings.
They would not have had nearly the loss of life
that they experienced.
Gil Reyes for ABC 30 Action News.
Just think of all the old buildings we might still have around here.
Yeah.
We had that stuff then.
An amazing new product. All right.
In the future, could a plastic foam save your life during an earthquake? Seismic testing is underway on the campus of Fresno State. Full-scale masonry walls have been constructed in the engineering school's structural testing laboratory. They have sprayed with an epoxy called Bisfoam, which is meant to hold walls together during an earthquake. The test walls are then stressed to see how they react.
We're keeping the bricks together, keeping the building standing, so that we have time to go ahead and have the people be able to evacuate a building, and that's the first goal.
So far, the tests are proving successful. Delta Plastics is hoping the foam could be added to brick buildings in California, buildings built from 1880 through 1950. There are about 3,000 of the buildings in the state that could benefit from this new technology, and it's happening right here in the valley.
Fascinating.
That's great.
All right.
Okay.